3 V8 trucks, same farm, same 150,000 miles. One of these engines looked ready for another decade of work. Another was quietly hiding a repair bill worth thousands. One shocked us. One confirmed almost everything owners have been complaining about online for years. One changed how we'd recommend buying used altogether. And one result almost made us throw out our original ranking before we'd even finished the inspection. A Ram 5.7, a Silverado 5.3, an F-150 5.0. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly why only one of these three earned the title of clear winner and exactly how much the other two are going to cost somebody down the road. These three belong to our buddy Ricky, who's run them on the same farm since 2017. Same fuel, same routes, same maintenance, no favorites going in. We judged every engine on four things. Valvetrain, because that's what tells you if it's about to get expensive. Cylinder condition, because that's the ceiling on how much life is actually left. Oil control, because that's the earliest warning sign there is. And anything the engine showed us from the outside before we ever opened it up. Somewhere on this bench, one of these trucks is sitting on a problem that's going to cost its owner real money, and he doesn't know it yet. Let's get into it. Let's start with the Ram. 151,000 miles on a 5.7 Hemi, backed by the ZF8 speed. Going in, I expected disaster. This engine runs cylinder deactivation. Ram calls it MDs, and that system has a well-known reputation for chewing up the valvetrain over time. If any of these three was going to show real damage first, my money was on this one. Then we opened it up. Honestly, I had to look twice. Healthy cylinder walls, factory-like cross-hatching still visible, no measurable scoring anywhere in the bore. Not what I expected to see from a Hemi with over 150,000 miles on it. Oil control matched it excellent. No consumption trend. Nothing on the dipstick telling a different story than the odometer. For a second, I genuinely thought we were looking at our winner. Then came the cold start. Two different ticks, and telling them apart was the whole diagnosis. The first hit the instant the key turned sharp, right around the exhaust manifold, and faded almost completely once it warmed up. Classic manifold bolt fatigue on this generation of Hemi, and caught early, that's about a $300 fix. But underneath it, a second tick. Quieter, more consistent, didn't fade with heat. I won't pretend I know exactly what that is, yet it's worth a proper valvetrain inspection before anyone calls it. So here's where the Ram lands, far healthier than I walked up expecting. One cheap confirmed repair, genuinely strong cylinders and oil control, and one unanswered noise standing between it and first place. Can the Silverado beat that? Next, the Silverado. 148,000 miles on a 5.3 Ecotec 3, backed by the 6L86 speed. Everything looked great at first. Healthy bore, excellent oil control, two checkpoints that looked identical to what you'd want on a truck half this age. Then we reached the valvetrain, and this is the part of the video we built the whole thing around. This engine also runs cylinder deactivation, GM's active fuel management, and before we even pulled the valve cover, there was a faint tick under load that Ricky mentioned almost as an afterthought. Said it had been there a while, never got worse, so he stopped worrying about it. That's exactly the kind of noise that gets written off. We pulled the covers and found early stage wear right in the exact area AFM hardware is known to stress. I'm not handing you a diagnosis I can't back up. I didn't pull this down to the crank. But what I saw with my own eyes was a pattern that, left alone, ends in a full cam and lifter job. All 16 lifters. A new cam, a new timing set while you're already in there. Parts and labor, $2,000 to $3,000. Ignore this long enough, and the next owner could be looking at a repair bill bigger than a full year of maintenance on this truck. That's not a knock on the Ecotec 3, as a design plenty of these run well past this mileage clean. But dollar for dollar, this is the most expensive finding on the entire bench, and it's enough to drop the Silverado behind. Last, the Ford. 152,000 miles on a 5.0 Coyote, backed by the 6R86 speed. After what we just found on the Chevy, I walked up expecting at least a hint of the same story. At first, I thought we'd finally found a faint mark near the valve cover that looked, for a second, like the start of something. Turned out to be nothing more than normal residue, not an active leak. Everywhere else, the news stayed just as boring. Timing chain, guides, tensioners were consistent with the mileage, and nothing more. No rattle on cold start. Healthy bore, tight and clean. Excellent oil control, no consumption trend at all. By now, I half expected the Ford to have already won. So we checked again. Still clean. The only real mark against it, anywhere, was that faint gasket SEPA $150 to $250 afternoon job whenever Ricky gets around to it. One small, cheap finding on an engine that spent 9 years hauling, towing, and sitting in the same dust as the other two. On engine condition alone, the Coyote takes it not because the other two are bad engines, but because on the day we had all three up on lifts, it gave us the least to worry about. But before any Ford owner celebrates too hard, there's one part of Ricky's Ram I'd take over the Ford without a second thought. The 8HP70. 8 speeds, built by ZF, shifting with a polish the 6R80, doesn't even try to match wider gear spread, less hunting under load. The 6R80 makes its own case. Simpler, more proven, the kind of transmission that earns its reputation by outlasting everything around it without much drama. If you made me pick a transmission to drive every day, I'd take the 8HP70. If you're asking me to judge the engines on this bench, I already told you the answer. The full scoreboard, look back at how this actually played out. The Ram walked in carrying the heaviest suspicion of the three and walked out with healthy cylinders, excellent oil control, and only one cheap confirmed repair. It finished one unanswered noise away from challenging for first. The Silverado looked, for most of its inspection, like it was heading for a clean sweep, right up until the valvetrain, where one finding changed the entire conversation about what this truck is going to cost its next owner. And the F-150 gave us exactly one false alarm and nothing else. It just quietly passed every checkpoint we threw at it and left the lift with close to a clean bill of health. 3 trucks, 3 engines, over 450,000 combined miles on the same farm, doing the same work, for the same 9 years. If there's one thing this comparison should change about how you look at a used V8 truck, it's this. Reputation didn't decide the winner here. What we actually found with our own eyes, on our own bench, did, so here's where it lands. On engine condition, the 5.0 Coyote is the clear winner, not because the other two failed, but because it gave us the least reason to worry. The transmission story is a different one, though, and I won't pretend it isn't that ZF8 speed behind the Ram is the one I'd actually want under me every day. 2 engines came out of this clean. One is quietly building toward a bill its owner doesn't know is coming yet. If this kept a little more money in your pocket, that's exactly what this channel is for. Next time, we're pulling the transmissions apart themselves, and one of them is going to surprise you even more than this one did.